suppose you turn on the light. There we go. Make it a little brighter. I got the dog here with me. Should we keep the dog? You gonna play? All right. Let's kill the music. Let's kill the tomato. Let's bring me on. Comments. We're good. I got my coffee mug. That's good. Didn't exactly put on a button shirt. Hey, there's the dog. Oh, you camera shy? You're on. Say hi. You're looking at me like I'm a moron. Say hello. There you go. All right, that's it. Dog's out of here. Hey, Mike, how are you, man? Oh, you're gonna put a button shirt on? Forget it. We're live. We're live in person. I cut my head off. There we go. Bring my head back on. There we go. I'm not even straight here today. We got a little cockeye there that works. Oh, whoa! You got to see what came up over here. Talk about things changing. I get this email just popped up there. You know what that was about? Probably not, because you can't see it. I'm gonna drink coffee. Oh, you're back. The dog's name is Faith, by the way. Every time I put my socks on, she wants to go out for a walk. I don't have socks on. No socks, no walk. All right, I gotta go. I gotta do this. You want to join me? Oh my gosh, this dog begs more than I do. No. All right, we'll talk about this. So is it time for a refresh? That's the question. Things always change. We didn't have a dog for. We've been adopting dogs now for. How long have we been adopting dogs for? Research department. And the answer is 27 years, says the research department. All right, the wife got the door open today. Whoa. So, you want to be on camera? They can hear you. You're famous now. So her name is Faith, by the way. All right, come on. Where'd you go? You're leaving again? Come here. Come here. You might as well come on. Come here. You want to come up? You want to come up? That's a little rough. Anyway, I gotta come down. All right, forget it. All right, anyhow, so that's Faith. Faith is from Ollie's Angels. We've been adopting dogs now for 27 some odd years. Started out with greyhounds, had a couple of other kinds of dogs in there. You know, now we got the little pit terrier over here that begs to go out for a walk all the time. All of a sudden, I got a puppy dog. Well, 5-year-old dog, not really a puppy dog. But anyhow, yeah, somehow, Micah, I think so, too. I take a nap, and next thing you know, here she comes. Here comes Faith. Faith to the rescue. An interesting name, right? To wind up with a dog named Faith. Been talking about that more frequently also. Hey, so I just bolted. Maybe the dog's not ready for prime time over here on the whatever, internet podcast, video cast, whatever you want to call this, to all this kind of stuff. So what about time for a change? Is it time for a change? It's always time for a change. It's always time for a shift. It's always time for making different updates, you know, as we go along over here. And I'm thinking the same thing, you know, just really thinking the same thing. Those last couple of days, yeah, I need a little faith is right. Yeah, we all, hey, Mike, I'm quoting you on this one here. You know, we all need a little faith. There we go. You need a little faith to live inspired, without a doubt. You know, the dog gets you going. I walk out of the house without taking her for a walk, man. It's like, boom, going out for a walk. Now, all of a sudden, we're walking again. Close to the dog at a quick pace. For that short little dog goes, four-legged horsepower dog kind of moving along on that one. So, yeah, it inspired me to walk again. We'll see how far. I haven't gone terribly far with her yet. Maybe half mile, not a quarter mile. Not a quarter mile, half mile, something like that. Not an eighth of a mile either. No pun intended. You know what I mean? But anyhow, a little bit of change. So the last couple of days have been like, what an eye opener. Even my wife noticed. I mean, like how excited I got about, like, you know, face to face, you know, meeting people and then hearing what they're doing, stuff like that. Getting out again, talking about Toastmasters. Of all the, of all the things, and it's mostly because Toastmasters open up like massive opportunities for me. and not inside of Toastmasters. Not paid at least. I did that conference back in 2009, which I had that had the brochure or booklet from the 2009 conference up on the table. I was waiting for somebody to comment on the fact. It's like, that's the most recent one you got. Well, that was mine. So that was the one that meant the most to me personally. A little talking point out there. But I mean, outside of it, it's created all kinds of opportunities. And again, it's not necessarily Toastmasters, but it's the ability to go out and have the confidence to do stuff. That's really what it is. And now listening to those people that were there yesterday, and of those groups, and I mentioned a whole bunch of them yesterday, but of those groups, the idea of mentoring was such a big part of it, of really getting to know each other. It wasn't just business anymore. And I think that was the big change in the whole thing. In the past, it seems like you went to a networking event. It was like, all right, here's my card. This is what I do. This is how I get paid. Pay me. Or give me somebody who I could do business with and get paid and all the rest of that stuff. It's like, that was not it. That was definitely not it. Much, much more so on that personal relationship side of things. Wooger is your example of the day on that one. I mean, that is not purely, but it's 80% focused on that, getting to know each other personally. The other group there was that business referral network. It's another one. It's like, all right, they're a small group. Okay, so what? They're an effective group. Very important. But they also played in their own rules. And I mean that very, very positive light. They're very focused on that group. And let me tell you something. I'm sure if somebody showed up that they just didn't care for, from a personality standpoint, something like that, you're not in. You're just not in. You got to be part of the whole thing and have the right attitude on the whole thing. And that seemed to be really, really focused on, yesterday. And it was really great to see so many people that were super excited about what it is that they were doing. Now, granted, and a little bit of a caveat, on this one, is the fact that this event was to highlight the different networking groups that were in and around the area. Defined area doesn't really make a difference. So who's going to attend this thing? It's going to be those groups that are looking to grow. Okay, so that narrows it down. Because if you're just part of something and it's like, okay, you're not going to go. You're not going to spend the time, energy, and effort to attend this thing. There's no money involved either. Time, energy, and effort out of your day in order to attend this. So that filtered out a lot of these groups to begin with. I'll take a comment there. But that filtered out a lot of these groups to begin with. And then it was a matter of like who inside of these groups will be attending. And it's only going to be the most motivated. So you only have the most active groups attending, and then you only have the most, fervent supporters that are now also representing those groups at this event. I'm sure there are exceptions. A few people with scheduling conflicts couldn't make it and stuff like that. I mean, across the board, that stuff is out there. But those that attended fell into that category of active, of supportive, of enthusiastic groups with different focuses, different efforts that they have. Some a little bit more business, others a little bit more relationship business, but they were all looking to move you forward in some respect or another. And that it just got me excited again. That is out. There was other part of that conversation that really got me excited too. Is Suffolk Community College. Seemed like there was more representatives from, and I never expected that either, by the way, but Suffolk Community College, not students, I'm talking like execs, that were attending this thing. Suffolk Community College, the Small Business Development Center, they were there. I mean, what is that telling you too? So were they there for students? No. No, there was no students attending, or maybe there was, but whatever. But this was not a student event. This wasn't attend a high school event and see if you can recruit students to go to your college or something like that. No, it wasn't even an entrepreneurial event where you were trying to get people to go to um, some of the events, some of the seminars that are held at the Small Business Development Center. No, it was those groups, the colleges, they're looking to participate more with the business community for the benefit of their students, of course, but to really participate with the business community. Hmm, is that a change? Might be. Might very well be an interesting change where it's not just, hey, we have a graduation rate of whatever percent, but we actually have a placement rate. We actually have people that are employed, maybe self employed, very well could be. There's a lot of certification programs inside of Suffolk Community College and others, I'm sure, inside of Suffolk Community College, where you get certified and you start your own business. You become self employed because you have your own idea of starting a business. And, Small Business Development Center, they're there to help you get that start going, to give you the guidance, to give you the resources that you might need and the connections that you would need to various banks, location, real estate agents, mortgage brokers. My friend, that mortgage broker who I ran across yesterday, um, etc. And that's really fascinating because I really think that, and I know I got a lot of company in this thought process too, is that for years, maybe decades, we've been neglecting the idea, pushing aside the idea of students going to become self-employed, about students starting their own business, about students going to vocational programs, about students becoming employees at companies where the company wants to do the training, the internal training, where the company wants to teach you how to do things their way, their style. And I see that frequently when I was doing these job fairs with the town of Brookhaven. In those situations, I would be interviewing basically the interviewers. I'd be interviewing the people that were representing these companies at the job fair. I'd go around and it was, I had a ball doing that whole thing. Absolutely had a great time doing it. But I had asked a lot of them, what they were looking for. And very few actually said they were looking for folks with a XYZ degree in something. They wanted they wanted potential employees that were able to write. Okay. Well, that's a skill set in there too. But they were able to write, that were confident in themselves, and that could learn. Not that did learn, but could learn. They had the ability to learn. Because those companies, whether it be in sales, whether it be something more technical, and there was a lot of engineering kind of companies that were at these job fairs, but they wanted to be able to teach you the skills, the soft skills, or maybe some of the harder skills, the technical skills that these companies were looking for. Now, granted, I mean, let's not get this wrong. There's no way they were going to, hire somebody that never did anything, never built anything, and then all of a sudden hire him as an engineer or an engineer apprentice or anything like that. I don't think that we're going that far here. But they didn't have to learn or know how to build a rocket ship. But they wanted you to see, they wanted to be able to see that you had an interest in that. And that's where I really think that these high school programs are so unbelievably important. Or maybe it's college programs, the work certification programs that are unbelievably important because they show the potential employers that you have a sincere, authentic, yeah, absolutely, a sincere and authentic interest in that industry, in that process, in that project, in the development of something brand new. Maybe you're just like the crazy, wild, lunatic person that just loves to build stuff that like nobody ever built before. Well, is there a career in that? Yeah. There is. And you don't have to be an Einstein coming up with some brand new, unbelievable new project and invent electricity or anything like that. But even some of the companies that you might think they're just straightforward companies, no, they want that creativity in there. They want to see that you really have that interest, that you're able to look at things differently. Differently. There's a steel manufacturing company. You would tend to think that that's very run of the mill. Plastic bottle manufacturer, run of the mill. Is that really the case? Hey, look, at one point in time, plastic bottles, you turned the top and the top came off. Then somebody decided, you know what would be a better idea? Why don't we make it kid safe? Who's got an idea as to how to make it kid safe? Who even came up with the idea of making it kid safe? Who came up with the idea that you have to push it down in order to twirl it? Someone with a crazy idea at the time. Someone who saw things just a little bit differently. That steel company, when I spoke to the president of that steel company, this kind of idea actually came from that, because maybe like you, I'm like, how creative do you really need to be if you're, making nuts and bolts and other things out of metal? Speak to anybody who operates a machine shop and they'll tell you quite differently, especially if you're making things, unique things, one-off things, or you're repairing something that had broke. But this gentleman told me, he said, here what happens is that he's got clientele, and you got stuff that he normally produces and things like that. But then you got clientele that shows up every once in a while and say, we have a problem. And not with the company, but we have a problem in our own situation that we need to solve. We need to figure out how to do that, how to make it better, how to make maybe something stronger, how to maybe make something stronger and lighter, how to reconfigure something around something. I don't know. But what I do know is that somebody at that company, some employee at that company, some team member at that company better have some creativity inside of that head, because that client of the company, they're coming to that company. They're coming to the steel company with an issue, and they're looking for a solution. And I'm telling you now, that steel company is looking to be able to offer a solution. So they need the creative types in there. Need them in there. And that's why I totally believe that these high school vocational programs are unbelievably important. Because they're going to accomplish a couple of different things. One is they're going to, let's go with the easy one over here. One, some students going to get involved in STEM, or an auto program, or a woodworking program, or a nursing program, an accounting program, something like that in there. And it's like, okay, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be sitting there in the emergency room. Oh, I see all these shows on TV. How exciting that is. Or I want to be a policeman or a detective or work for the FBI. And then they go and they take some classes in there, and then they speak to some people, some FBI official comes in, maybe a doctor comes in, maybe a nurse comes in. Maybe the person who comes in who actually has to clean up that emergency room, that operating room afterwards. Maybe the person who works in the morgue comes in. Maybe somebody in one of these industries comes in and speaks to those students in that vocational program in high school and says, here's the reality of it. You go into nursing, you become a doctor, you work in an emergency room, you work as an EMS, you work at any of those things. It's not just, hey, we saved a life. It's sometimes they don't. It's a lot of stuff that's just not pretty. It's a lot of reality that's tossed into it. It's not book learning. It's sometimes, can you deal with the realities of it? What about like shift hours? Dr. Bonnie, you mentioned that, and this came with a bakery. So let's go with a real nice, very nice, delicious, sweet high caloric, perhaps, but that's okay. Every once in a while, everything's good. Operating a bakery. How cool is it? Oh, you make donuts, you make bread, you make all kinds of pastries, Linzer tarts. Love that. Those black and white cookies. Love those things. Love those things. How great of a career is that? What do you do? Oh, I bake things and I put smile on people's faces. That is fantastic. You're a great cook. You love being in the kitchen. It's all good. You want to own a bakery. Well, what about the realities of owning a bakery? See, he was on one of these programs, radio shows. I heard him talking. I was like, man, I definitely got to get in touch with him, Trav, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. And he's talking about the reality of it. The reality of it. And the reality is that somebody has to turn the key to open the door to that bakery really, really early in the morning. Because if you're making fresh donuts, you're making fresh bagels, somebody's got to be there early to get that process started. You remember that commercial, time to make the donuts? It wasn't exactly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, was it? It was early in the morning. Early in the morning. So now, do you think operating a bakery, owning a bakery, is for everyone that likes to sleep late but loves donuts? I don't think so. Can you live with that lifestyle? Great that the college is doing it. I think even better that the high school is doing that. This way you have those reality conversations coming in. I've had this a lot with a number of folks that on the public speaking side of things, being a professional speaker. Oh, I'd like to be a professional speaker. I said, fantastic. Fantastic. Do you actually know what it takes? And for the record, you should speak to somebody that really, really knows what it takes. But I was just talking on the high level side of it because there's a lot that goes into it. You need to hire a coach. You really need to get, involved in that whole thing. But let's just stay high level kind of a thing, just like making donuts. I mean, you really need to learn how to actually make a donut. But if you can't live with that lifestyle, you're not owning a bakery. Or you're an absentee landlord. But now you got to make a decision. If you're an absentee landlord or an absentee owner, you got to figure out partnerships and stuff like that. Some trust. Now you got to have money in order to do it. But on the speaking side of things, professional speaker. Love telling this guy's story. Met him over here on the East Coast. That's important too to mention. By the way, at the HIA trade show. And they have the date set for 2023, by the way. So you can jump on the website over there. They're updating all of that. HIA-LI trade show. And it is May 23rd, 2023. Same place over at the Suffolk Community College, Brentwood campus. But let's get back to that. Oh, wow. So you want to be a professional speaker. What's the reality of it? I'm a good speaker. Okay. I mean, that's part of it. That's good. You got a good message. Great. Okay. Needs to be really good, by the way. And you need to be really good, by the way, because if you're looking to get paid, of course they're looking to get paid. We'll get paid $10,000 or $15,000 to give a 1 hour speech. I'm like, okay, that's all well and good. Can you deliver it? Sure. Everybody thinks they can deliver it. That's great. Do you have the real content? Sure. Everybody thinks they have the content. Let's bring it down a level here, though, right? Let's assume that's the case. Do you have the video, the one sheet, one speaker sheet? You need all the rest of that kind of stuff. That's good, too. All right. Maybe we can get all of that. Well, that could be put together and the rest of it. But what about that lifestyle thing? So you want to get paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Let's go for the $20,000 to become a professional speaker, make a career out of it. So let's say you get a speaking engagement. We're on the East Coast. Let's just go with something as simple as Chicago. You're going to get paid $20,000 to do an hour speech. Are you flying into Chicago that morning to get there at 10 o'clock in the morning? Take a cab, take an Uber, give your speech, get in the Uber, come home, you're home for dinner? I don't think so. You have to be there well in advance, maybe a day in advance, probably, because you never know. Airlines could get delayed and stuff like that. You can't not show. You can't delegate that one out. That is you. They hired you to speak. That means you are speaking. That means you must be there. You must be there. You don't attend some of these things. You miss some of these things. It's like, can't do that. You'll never be booked again.
So that means that you don't have to go out Tuesday for a Wednesday presentation. Maybe you're coming home Wednesday night. Maybe. Otherwise, it's Thursday. So now you're gone 3 days to give that 1 hour speech. You got paid 20 grand for the 1 hour. 3 days to get paid $20,000. Okay, is that still a good rate of pay? Yeah, it's certainly not too shabby, right? A little less than 7 grand a day, but you're going for 3 days. What about that lifestyle? And how many days do you need to travel? How many years do you have to put in order to get to the point of $20,000 also? But how many days would you be on the road earning this money as a professional speaker? And there's actually very few that are getting paid that kind of money. Most it's going to be less. So let's assume you're getting paid 5 grand, 5 grand, and you want to make how much money you want to make? You know, $100,000 over the course of a year. So it's 20 speeches, oversimplified. Oversimplified. So it's 20 speeches, 20 speeches. You're on the road 3 days a week. That's 60 days a year you're now traveling. And that's for a minimum, really, as that goes. Is that the lifestyle you want? You're always out. That's the reality of it. Let alone the time, energy, and effort it takes you to get to that point. Because it's still, well, unless you got some great story or you're shifting careers for something else, and there's always exceptions and stuff like that. But the point is there's a lifestyle. There's a lifestyle with all of these things. And that's where I really think, really truly think, that the earlier we get into high schools with your story, with your reality story, what it really took you to become that successful person that you are. What it really took, not how you're living right now, but what it took. What was that course of events that got you there? What sacrifices, what lifestyle changes did you need to make for you to achieve that level of success? That's the conversation with the students. And I think the earlier we could do that, the better it is. It may scare off some people, all well and good, but then again, it may inspire others, even better. But the earlier they get going with that, the earlier they see their potential, the earlier that they see what they really want to do, well, then the better that truly is, for them. And that's a good thing. That really is a great thing, actually. You don't want some student going to college, spending $100,000, racking up all that debt, and going, "Oh, I don't really want to do that." So getting involved in it early as time, as possible. Which goes to what I was talking about over here, an update. You know, are we really truly being as effective as we can at this stage in our careers, in our lives, with what it is that we're doing? Or do we continue to do the same thing and not really make the changes that are beneficial to us and others as we go along? That's a big thing to go take a look at. This is I don't believe in New Year's resolutions or anything like that. Maybe big picture, it's nice to say and all the rest of that, but still, ongoing process. Are we really as effective as we should be? Are we really out there doing what we really can be doing? And we got everything covered, that hierarchy of needs and getting that covered. And then once that's covered, where do we go from there? I know where I want to go from there. I want to be hanging out with those people like the ones I met yesterday, like Janice Spencer, who I interviewed the other day, like so many of the folks that I know, like you, that are constantly moving forward, constantly trying to make some improvement in each day in some field, in some way, shape, or form. That's the exciting part of it. And I know that will have a huge impact on a whole bunch of different things. You got to keep doing that. Don't give up on that, and don't worry about changing things up a little bit. So I know that is absolutely what we're going to go with this thing. That, my friends, is something to speak often about, speak well about, and to live inspired with, because you will inspire others to do exactly the same thing. Hey, we'll be back again. We'll do this one more time. And yeah, we do need to keep a little faith. That little dog. One very, very strong little dog. I got to tell you that one. But keep your faith. Keep moving along. Speak well, speak often, and live inspired, my friends.